Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a replay analysis. I am Sylphin. In this series, we take a look at replays that you guys send me as I give my tips on how to improve. Usually this is a perk that my Patreon supporters get as they support me doing what I love every single month. So you could check that down in the video description, or as a commission. So in this replay, let's take a look and see what these guys do. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are taking a look at Man Bear Pig's team that he has. They are a foursome, so if you want to be their fifth as their support, go and check him out in game name Man Bear Pig 326. Vinyls on Kwong in the solo lane. T-Boss Diesel as Zinx in the mid lane. Sir Joy looks like the fifth into their 4-stack as support, and Brickhouse Zero as Kalari in the jungle. Last video we talked about the meta picks. I won't necessarily delve too much into that. Kwong definitely the most meta of all their picks here in their team comp. Kalari, you simply don't see her in the high competitive scene as she's simply too squishy, and there are just too many options to kind of delete her right off the bat with crowd control that is very much prevalent in the high competitive scene. It's all about control and just kind of focusing people down with control and winning that way. So my advice, again, go and look on Agora in Platinum or even in Diamond at the top win rates and top pick rates for that, and that kind of just gives you a good idea, as this is one of the reasons why, you know, Kalari, she does get bullied pretty easily, and this should be an immediate collapse here from everybody involved in the mid lane. Absolutely should be, you know, that should be an easy peasy kill here for your team, as Cuba Lynx needed to be punished 100%. 100%. That is an immediate collapse, an easy kill here to feed the Twin Blast. So unfortunate that doesn't happen here. In this video, I think I will talk more about the lane dynamics of each. So on this scenario, in this scenario, your dual lane, because your strong jungle is on your side, you are you know, you are over here, it's going to, you are going to be definitely incentivized to keep this frozen close to your tower. You're going to want to control the gold buff. You're going to want to control that. So keep this pressure a little bit farther than where it is right now. So probably likely like right around here. You want to kind of fight right around here so that you guys can have a little easier time on the gold buff. It does look like the enemy duo is pressing hard, so you want to keep it frozen a little bit up, and that is going to depend on how often, you know, the enemy duo is attacking the minion waves. So you're gonna have to be really kind of careful. Why do you want this frozen up here? Simply because you want your jungler to have easy access for ganks in this dual lane. This will provide, you know, because your jungler can, yeah, they can come through here, but more importantly through the river here for good ganks. That is going to be absolutely the focus that you take in this lane. That's something you have to coordinate with your jungler. Have a really strong jungler that can rotate and have very strong initiations. You know, Rampage is great. Grux, which we see the enemy team running here, is actually a good option. It's not necessarily seen too often, but I mean, at the very high, like at the last PML, he did work fantastically well. Even Severog can definitely work in the jungle, or Kwong in the jungle, even though he is much better in the solo lane. So that is why you freeze it here, so that you have great ganks, and that is something that you focus on in the early game a ton. Your off jungle here, your black camp, and this camp can be left for your solo laner. And your solo laner in this scenario, because they are at the mercy of the strong side jungle of the enemy team, you know, you have to play, you have to be relatively safe. In this scenario, you know, you want to maybe freeze your lane as much as possible. Don't let it sit up here, which is what Moby here is doing. He's nicely freezing this lane, knowing that the Kwong, you know, will want to farm, but he will be at a, you know, it'll be hard for him to be up here because he can be ganked quite easily by the Grux. So you want to freeze your lane. Don't push it. Don't let the dual lane freeze it for some good ganks. So that is another reason why you leave this jungle for your solo laner, so that they can farm it, you know, while the lane is frozen. So you have to be careful here. A laner here that is really good in this scenario when you are on the Dusk side is one with an escape. So somebody like Sevrog in the solo lane on the Dusk side, very, very strong because he has Subjugate to peel for himself, his ultimate to peel for himself, and obviously his what ability? What's it called? Whatever. His rush through, shadow rush something, right? Something like that. My goodness. He is a wonderful Dusk. He is hands down in my opinion the best solo lane Dusk hero. And then they respond with Kwong, because it doesn't really matter if Kwong, you know, is way up here. It's not likely that they're going to get ganked because they are protected by the strong jungle. So Dusk in the solo lane, Sevrog hands down. So that is the strategy. Again, Possessed Spriken, hands down, absolutely something that you need. 110% to push, win your lane, get the kills, and just kind of start that snowball going. In the mid lane, again, Faye, hands down, the dominant force here in this mid lane, followed next by probably Bellica or a Gideon, something like that would work very, 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 very well. We actually did see more Gesh once or twice, but I mean that's probably just personal preference and personal skill there in that last PML. So the Faye in the mid lane again with that Possessed Spriken, so you can absolutely just hammer on this Morgesh and just dominate the lane, get those kills with that ult and with that good poke. Very, very, very strong as well. Good thing about Zinx though, is pretty darn tanky. So nice gank here by Cuba Lynx, who kind of wasted his crowd control right off the bat. So it probably should be dead there, but he do get out. And you know what, the Faye in this mid lane, what you need to do, and why Possessed Spriken also works really well in the mid lane, is because that makes you win your lane, and you're always pushing into this tower, and you always have advantage. What that therefore enables you to do, A, get those river buffs a little bit more, you know, freely, because the mid laner is so occupied. But more importantly, especially because you're on the Dusk side, you are enabled to make the great ganks that you know, being on Dusk provides, with, you know, with this duo, the enemy duo so far up, because you are freezing the lane around this point. So that is the constant strategy here in the mid lane. Get that Faye, get that Gideon, who also works really well, the Bellica with that Possessed Spriken to constantly put this pressure, and then rotate to the right lane that is nicely frozen. I mean, you come in from behind or from up there, and then boom, there's a fantastic gank here. With that said, your support has to have ward domination, because if the enemy team can ward, which is their main strategy here, to ward, to get vision, to prevent those ganks that they know that you're going to try to do because the strong jungle's on the side and you're freezing, etc., etc. They're going to have to ward. That's going to be what your support is all about. Wards, 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 wards. And you can see that Sir Joy here is doing a good job being the 5th to your 4th stack. So you need wards, 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 ward domination. And with the lane frozen, you can leave the carry to kind of, you know, just farm here a little bit more safely from the duo, because they have their tower right here, so your support can be a little bit more free to roam around and secure that vision domination, which makes me think of all the times I was supporting on the Dawn side and, you know, totally not getting that vision domination, which is obviously very, very important. Unfortunately, didn't clear that. Pardon me. Unfortunately, didn't clear this ward here. As for ward placement, my favorite, right about here. Right about here. One, you can look kind of look into Fangtooth. You can look up there, so that if people are being really sneaky, you do get vision there. You get vision down here. Why is it kind of like on this side? Just so you can kind of see, the river buff. So like right here is probably my favorite spot. Maybe kind of like right here-ish. So you can see up there. You can see down there a little bit. You can kind of really see. I mean, there's really not much you can see there, but you can see down there. And anybody that that is getting that river buff. So there is the early game strategy. Possess Sprikins, unfortunately, my opinion, and a lot of competitive players' opinions, kind of busted. Again, no loss scenario. You get it. If you're able to, you know, snowball and win your lanes, then you win the game from getting Fangtooth and all those kills. Pretty much just like that. I mean, there's really no exaggeration there, to be honest with you. Pardon me. And then, you know, you just kind of win. So, great engagement there over the Fangtooth to get the kill. Unfortunately, couldn't peel for the Kwong there. The crowd control on that Revenant would have been really, really important. Nice. Kalari going to town. Unfortunately, it looked like she kind of lagged out there for a bit. Good crowd control to finish that kill, and there you guys go. So, unfortunate 2 kills, 2 deaths. I don't necessarily think were overly necessary, but good. Now it's going to be your first Fangtooth, which is exactly what you want. You have the 3-person advantage, just like what I was saying, and you're getting the Fangtooth expertly done. You know, and that is exactly what you want to do. Perfect. You know, would you have wanted a tower down at this point? Sure, but you know, that's just not how this game went, and that is a-okay. By the 11 minute mark, we would absolutely have seen a T1 tower down by now, maybe even the mid lane down, but not overly likely. Ganks from the jungle would have come much more often for your team, being in the strong side jungle again, leaving that solo lane. Leaving the off jungle to your off laner, and you know, having much more pressure on that lane, getting that T1 down, creating a little bit more space to get that Fangtooth a little bit more easily. And yeah, there you go. You get your first Fangtooth, and then that gives you that power, that gives you that little bit of economy to kind of scale past your team, past the enemy team, and into the mid game, which we are now definitely in that mid game. At this point, yeah, you definitely want to tower down, but I mean, in this game, that's fine. It's not there. What you do want, though, is grouping up and pressuring a little bit more free to rotate. What I mean, with these towers not down, it's still basically in the laning phase. And what's going to be really, really important now in this laning phase, in this late laning phase, 100% is the fact that you don't want to have your towers down. And there's a good smash and grab. Unfortunately, yeah, so on a Greystone here, that he still has his ultimate. Unfortunately, that wasn't a good trade. I mean, really, you kind of just have to ignore Greystone and just kind of pick at him and slowly whittle him down in order to really get him. I mean, Greystone, why he isn't meta is just because he has no crowd control. So, you know, in a team fight, he's basically useless. You can just ignore him and just kind of deal the damage. Later on, when it's more advantageous, and boom, you just kind of basically ends up being useless. In the early game, you know, you get that as a Kwong, especially with your burst that you have with your Light of the Heavens. You'll be able to just kind of win those trades 110%. And now, yeah, we can talk about that solo lane dynamic there. So you definitely should be getting this kill. That 100% go for that kill over that tower. That should absolutely be yeah. So right there, absolutely the get that kill, secure that kill 110%. The tower was going down. You had a siege minion coming. You had that minion that it was going down. absolutely 110% need to get that kill. Kills. Paragon, it's about that, guys. If you kind of haven't gotten the memo, it's moving more and more to that kind of pseudo quote. I hate to say it, but hero brawler-esque likeness, right? So kills. That's what does it, because that Revenant wouldn't be there. He wouldn't be getting this farm. You'd be able to get this Fangtooth much more easily. And very much surprised here. Looks like. Okay, there you go. So yeah, Fangtooth 110% is what the call should be. Should be an easy rotation here from the mid lane. Everybody should be going there. The Zinc should be getting this. Should be helping getting this much sooner. The Twin Blast would take much less damage, probably, you know, much less damage. And now you'd be able to freely rotate to the mid lane and push this, even though the enemy team is over here. So at this point, yeah, you would have rotated with the rest. So there you go. So it's all about objectives. Either you are in your lane pushing it, or either you're in your lane freezing it and farming, or you're pushing it to get a tower down, which which you're only doing basically if you have numbers advantage and there's a clear, there's something really clear that enables you to push down a tower, or you rotate to push another advantage, another tower, or get an objectives. It's pseudo that simple, or picks, of course. I mean, if that, like in the very early game there, this Crux was way in your jungle, rotate to get that pick. That is what it's about. So here's a good gank coming in for the for this right lane. Unfortunately, it's going to be a little bit late here. Always focus the phase first, but it doesn't look like it's going to much matter there. So there's a good kill on the Revenant, and there is a good gank. So excellent gank here. That is what we needed from the 5 minute from the 4 or 5 minute mark and on. So that should have been the 5 to 10 minute mark over and over and over again. Good gank here in the mid lane, but she definitely should have retreated there, seeing everybody rotate from the right lane. But it will be a good kill secure from the Kalari, indeed. And that should be a mid lane tower down. You guys have the mana advantage. Should be absolutely 100% rotating over for that, even though there is a nice split push going on. So the threesome here absolutely should be pushing down this tower. I maybe would have rotated out of this right lane. I mean, really, you're not going to be able to get that. So this should have been a mid tower down. Always pushing objectives. Always pushing. You get an advantage. You get that kill advantage. Group up. Push something. Or if Fangtooth was up, it would have been Fangtooth 100%. The steal should be absolutely 100% with this Twin Blast. So you kind of, I hope the rhythm of Paragon is becoming more clear, especially in this mid-ish game. We're kind of transitioning into the late game. Once a T2 tower down and some more T1s go down, it'll open up for much more grouping up and taking of the map objectives and tower pushes. I hope the rhythm is starting to become a little bit more clear. In the early game, yeah, it's just about laning and winning your lanes and then rotating and trying to get good picks in the appropriate place. But in this mid game, I can't tell who was there. So unfortunately, yeah. So there's no reason why the Zinx is here in the mid lane. Communicate, get objectives, and yeah. So that's kind of yeah. So that, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I mean, really, the Kalari should 100% been here as well. Four people on Fangtooth at that moment. That would have been gone. That would have been yours, easy peasy. And this engagement probably would have gone much more in your favor. The rhythm of Paragon in the mid game, you're just pushing. You're trying to get picks. You're trying to see who's overextended and kill them. Secure that kill with crowd control, which is what is highly dominant right now. Once you get that pick, you have numbers advantage, meaning you could be more successful in an engagement over an objective, whether that objective is a pushed lane into a tower or into Fangtooth, which is more, much more valuable at this time. So hopefully that Fangtooth was in your favor. I couldn't see who exactly got that, unfortunately, but we'll have to see. So there's a nice push there from the Kwong. So there is right there is actually a great individual utilization of an advantage. You know, the tower is pushed. You're a Kwong, you're tanky, not much a Morgesh can do, and you push into that tower and get that. So this should have been quite clear here that the Kwong was coming. So a further initiation into that, but I mean it doesn't matter. The kill was secured. So great job there. Unfortunately, lanes are much more than anything else. Lane. Your top priority in a MOBA is a lane. You know, even though I literally just said, you know, Paragon's moving more and more to the whole, you know, the key elements of a hero brawler, or just they want to focus more on hero-to-hero combat. Your lanes are everything. You can't win the game without killing inhibitors and killing the core. Like, it's still a structure game. At its finest, you got to kill a structure. That's what wins the game, right? So the lanes are the most important fundamentally, which is still nice. Like I still very much like that that it is very much about that. And in this scenario here, there was really no reason for the Zinks to be up here. Positioning, map awareness. You only saw the two. Enemies there in the right lane, meaning there are two others on the map. Really, no reason. Sit back, rotate into your jungle, maybe to farm there, or help your duo try to gank this right lane, or simply just reposition for Fangtooth. And you know what? There's that rhythm going. Don't die before Fangtooth. You know the enemy team is going to try to be doing the exact same thing. Get a pick. You know, get a pick, get that advantage, get that objective, and you know, likewise, inversely, don't let them do that. And that was a mistake there. So this could be absolutely a good gank potential here if the Twin Blast had come with you as the threesome. But unfortunately, actually, you know what? Yeah. So a much better play here would have been to go on the FaZe, who is all by herself up here. So that absolutely would have been the better play here, and you do secure that, almost dying to that FaZe there. I find personally, when you are, especially, I mean, as a ranged hero and especially as a carry, you have to pick a direction to go in. You have to pick a direction, and by the way, at this point, you guys have kind of stayed your welcome. You know that somebody's gonna that people are gonna be rotating. You got your 2 kills. Absolutely needed to retreat there. As a carry, and you know I'm not the best carry, so I mean take this with a grain of salt. Go and ask, go and ask Imsco or any top carry players out there. I prefer to pick a direction of movement, like, you know, either you know that you're gonna win this trade, like you're a carry versus a support, you know you're gonna win, so they are gonna try to retreat. They're gonna try to retreat, likely in a certain direction. So move in that direction and cut down on your side to side motion so that you're more accurate yourself. Because you can take those basics, like, it's fine. So that, like, trying not to move around and moving side to side and kind of screwing over your own aim is really important. Nice duel there with the Revenant. Exceptionally well done. Nicely done, especially with that dash to hopefully have mitigated quite a few of those obliterate projectiles. Nicely done indeed. So that's kind of my advice. Like for that, especially in that engagement with the phase there, you know, just pick a direction to move in, you know, and kind of cut down on your own movement, because you're probably likely going, you know, you can very much hurt your own accuracy as much as hurting the enemy. So at this point, basically, yeah, the Kwang is relegated to to pushing this lane. And at this point, with an inhibitor down, what you're going to really kind of just want to do is push this up to a safe point and really rely on the foursome that, you know, of the rest of your team to get a pick, and then have this Kwang rotate to an objective. So right now you have a very strong advantage, 110% collapse on Fangtooth right now. Collapse, get that, and then you're gonna have to go back to deal with the Greystone. But unfortunately, nobody is once again going there. So you can see that rhythm of picks, advantage. Do you push a tower or do you get an objective? In this case, it's the objective. Fangtooth, boom, go there. It should have happened, you know, 10, 15, 20 seconds ago. The mid lane is actually getting a good amount of pressure, and it might actually die due to the minions, and it does go down. So I mean, there is a good perk, and now you guys can retreat and move on. You do have a numbers advantage right now, although a tier 2 tower is down. So at this point, you have to ask yourself, what is the true value of getting another tier 2 tower down? Really not much. You got one down, the jump pads are down. So at this point, committing to a unfavorable engagement that you might lose anyways in a mid lane, or for another T2 that doesn't really do much, is questionable. So you have to be very, very careful. The right lane there, it is a 3v2, so unfortunately it looks like that steal maybe DC'd, so not much you could have done there. In the mid lane, again, there's no real reason to fight over this. In this scenario, you had 4 of the enemy team all over in this right lane, you know, just, you know, defending that push and setting these lanes and farming. At this point, you more or less had that positional advantage to go for Orb Prime. Go for Orb Prime at that point. You have this left lane pushed up. The Greystone's gonna have to come over here and deal with that. So Orb Prime at that point, absolutely would have been my call as well. Again, the mid laner should be absolutely coming over here and helping, as now the Revenant's gonna pretty much have a free kill here. It's time to retreat. You guys have you know, the steal is way back at base. Twin Blast is way over in the right lane. There's really no reason for this to be fighting here. So yeah, absolutely. Look at the map and see what numbers. See who is where. How many people are, you know, do you have in your engagement versus the enemy? And in that scenario, there's really no reason to be there. Or Prime definitely would have been that call there. They would have likely been pushing the left lane, pushing that mid lane, so you would have had a good amount of time there. With the Twin Blast and the Kalari on your team, you have a good source of damage to easily take that down pretty darn quick. So we're gonna do this here. Hopefully get rid of some replay bugs. And yeah, see, now we have a tier 2 tower down coming down. It's not too serious right now, because you have a whole inhibitor down at the moment, but it's not really that big of a deal here. So at this point, you know, Fangtooth is coming up. You'll need to kind of just push this lane out a little bit and then rotate over to Fangtooth at this moment. I mean, you do have, I think at this point, again, there's no Fangtooth counter. I think you guys have a few Fangtooth ahead of the enemy, quite a few. I don't think the enemy has gotten ones yet, so you could definitely let that go. At this point, I would let probably, I mean, depending on the farm, likely either the Kalari or the Twin Blast farm this left lane, and just so that they can push it faster, likely faster than this Kwang. So that will enable this lane to kind of get pushed up and give you more time to rotate over and help your allies. So at this point, your lanes are starting to get in your favor. You'd likely be looking for a pick. This is maybe what you're doing here. The enemy duo here is coming, so good initiation by the Kwang. Is there follow-up? Unfortunately, no. The Cuba Lynx is doing a great job of focusing down the backline, so leaving Vinyls here to get kind of way overextended. The Kalari should be coming in here and helping 110%. This could be the pick that you guys need. So there is the Grux. There is the pick. Or Prime if you can. Or Prime if you can. Mid lane is kind of in the center of the map here. Or going for another kill. Excellently done here. Great job by the Steel on that initiation to get that next pick. And the Revenant goes down. So there is the advantage, and now is the call. Do you get the inhibitor or Prime? And with the minions pushing into the inhibitor, that is the call. Expertly done. At this point, do you try to end the game with 2 of the enemy up for 30 seconds? You actually probably could have. Maybe. But I think the safer call would be or Prime at this point. 30 seconds, not likely enough to get this inhibitor. Again, the T2 tower doesn't really matter. You already have a T2 tower down. So at this point, or Prime, 110%. Or Prime should have been the call here. You know, 3 of the enemy team are dead. Not enough time, in my opinion, to get this inhibitor. So there's no point in trying for that. So get what you can. Go for or Prime. You're going to try the split push. Try to get this T2 tower down. And maybe this T2... well, definitely likely this T2 tower on this side. So, well, I mean, we'll see. I'm saying that not much value is going to come from either of these split pushes. And you definitely could have gotten or Prime instead. But we will see how this plays out here at the Greystone. You're going to try to focus down. You guys do get the T2 tower down, but I don't think this engagement is going to go overly in your favor here. It is probably going to, yeah, so yeah, absolutely should have retreated there. The Twin Blast does get the double kill here, the Revenant and the Moragesh. So, all right, well executed. I mean, you are, so let's see here. Let's try to get some replay bugs out of here. So at this point, okay, so you know what, you are very much ahead of this Revenant, and the Moragesh, of course, you are overhead. So, you know, very ballsy play. Would that have worked in higher competitive you know, matches? Likely not. So still, I mean, the play there, it looks like you guys did get that that Fang Tooth. So the Grux trying to come in and steals it. I mean, really, that's the only thing that they can do at this point. Try to contest those objectives. So that kind of is a fair play on his part. So it ended up working. Preferably, you would have wanted to get the right side inhibitor so that this right lane cancels out and it's a neutral base pressure. But you got the other side, and that is likely okay. I probably would have, if you wanted to go for that inhibitor, have grouped as a 4 and push this right lane. But hey, there you go. So now or Prime right now, or Prime 110% right now is the absolute play. The enemy is stuck in their base. You're gonna want to get as much value out of the map as possible, and that value right now is in Orb Prime. Getting back into this left lane as fast as possible to push this down with that Grux dead. Probably, I mean, you probably would be at that inhibitor right now. Had or Prime gotten fast, and look at that, like super quick here with damage Kwang, damage Twin Blast, and damage Kalari, obviously going hard there. Zanx is there as well. Actually, good, very high farm. My goodness, that is with all that attention there in that mid lane. So Moragesh is dead from something, whatever happened there. And there you go. So, yeah, going to group as 5. Absolutely. So, with Orb Prime, remember, it's a siege tool. Yes, it is 20%, 20% damage increase. But that sustain that you get, 3%, 2%, 2% of your health and life went out of combat per second, something like that. Remember, it's a siege tool, so you don't want to be too crazy here, which Vitals is going to get obliterated. Yeah, so I mean, really, he just needed to stay back and let the ranged ranged heroes, take out that inhibitor, and then engage hard. I mean, it worked out. It worked out in your favor. But you know, get that great initiation off on Kwong with the Great Sword of the Heavens. Or Judgment of the Heavens into Fury, etc., etc. And at this point, I mean, it's pretty much game closed. So pushing down this right lane here should be a good GG by far. So let's pause this and take a quick look at the decks here. Hopefully, it's all the replay bugs are gone, and we'll see. Knight of Asher on Twin Blast is very, very interesting. He does have a few abilities that do very well with power, so I maybe would have gone something like with power maybe, but Knight of Asher, I mean, great card on Sparrow. 100% I would absolutely go for Sparrow. Unfortunately, the most meta deck is absolutely OPD on your carries. OPD, as I've shown in the math videos, is pretty much at least a 40% DPS, 60% DPS increase. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. OPD Militia on your carry, 110%. Even OPD Militia on Kalari would absolutely be the more meta pick with something like Shatter Golem or I mean, whatever. So Trapper on Kwong is actually quite interesting. He's quite naturally tanky, so that does work. Sacred Alchemy, again, in the off lane. You're the off lane tank, providing just providing that space so your carry and your mid laner can deal the damage. So your off lane is going to look something pretty much like a Possessed Spryken into Numbing Rogue and Unbroken Spirit. That's pretty much your off-lane tank build. And then your jungler is going to look something like Tyrant, followed into something like Yomi Guardian. I've said deck builds before, so really that's kind of all I have to say. So there you guys go. Hopefully that helped with kind of the rhythm of Paragon, the strategy in the early game, all about that laning phase and getting good rotations and dominating your lanes so that you could rotate over, well, because you guys were on the dusk side, you know, getting that advantage, getting those early Fangtooth to get the early game advantage, so you guys can just kind of steamroll from there. In the mid game, you're looking for picks, you're looking for any sort of advantage, whether that be positional advantage or anything else, and getting those more objectives, more Fangtooth, especially that T2 your first T2 tower takedown, and etc., etc. And then in the late game, you're just looking for favorable engagements for Prime, and then good pushes. So hopefully that helped. Let me know down in the comments if you guys have any other suggestions or tips. Please like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, share it with the community. Of course, guys, subscribe if you like this content, especially if you found it useful. Please subscribe so we can do it for you in the future. Check the video description for links to my website, merchandise store, or Amazon affiliate link as well. It's all my social media here. Huge shout out to all my Patreon supporters, Twitch subscribers, or YouTube sponsors. Go out of their way to make these videos possible and help me do what I love. Until next time, like always, stay optimistic and positive.